Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to the No Fatwas Given podcast. I am Saad, joined by my co-hosts Fahad and Suhaib. We don't have a fourth this time around, but this weekend was eventful. Our younger brothers got married. Our younger brother got married.
So inshallah, we'll do a podcast like 2 months later, let them experience new marriage, and then we'll do a podcast where the old people will give advice to the younger guy and actually see his because we forgot what we don't have the
Briefly
the new marriage feeling and all that stuff. We could talk to him about it. How was everything? And then
but other things we can address, and this is just interesting. Is my wife and I were talking about this yesterday, and we're like, our first year is different than other couples' first year. We always talk about the honeymoon period, and my wife and I were talking that our relationship and stuff got better over time, which it naturally should, as trust and you just learn more about each other, and now you have kids together and whatnot. That all happens, but it's also like the stages of life you're in, whether it was difficult or not, right? Mm-hmm. Whether you're having money troubles or moving troubles or this school, that school, admission, career, whatever is happening, health, it really influences what's going on. And so we're like, maybe that's part of the perspective, because compared to other couples, they're like, oh yeah, first year was great. Anyway, it's just something worth
We're not even talking about first year, we're talking about 2 months.
Fair enough.
That's the thing, right? 2 months is like, it's still like, fresh.
No, I think first year is very important, right?
Well,
and as you're talking, you mentioned all this idea of sacrifice. Early on, if there's a lot of sacrifice that let's say the incoming wife has to make because, I don't know, the guy is poor. He's going through residency or whatever, right?
She's leaving her family.
Sounds very personal.
Leaving family.
It is, but there's a lot of sacrifice involved. And then when you finally get to a position where you guys are stable, you have this whole history to look back at, like, hey, I was with you in the tough times, right? But if you have a guy who's very well settled, who's like a CEO of a company and he's doing really well, and then a wife comes, it's a very different relationship, I would imagine.
I agree, because in my case, so I'm a physician now, sure, but my wife didn't marry me when I was already a physician. I wasn't making that good money, the good whatever, when we got married, right? And so it's a big difference between marrying someone who already has a wealth, a decent house, a decent income, versus growing into it.
If we're talking about encouraging people to marry young, unless you already come from an extremely wealthy background, extremely wealthy, where like you've been given so much, you don't have to do anything on your own that you can be wealthy, that might be different. But for everybody else, if you marry young, you don't have anything.
Yeah, but my argument is that forges better relationships long term because you go through the struggle together. That's good. Just like with kids too, right? Kids are a test to your relationship. How good your relationship is under stress, okay? And the more you've spent time with each other, let's say on a honeymoon or through difficult times already, the better you'll be at dealing with that stress. And in fact, it'll be the best thing ever for you.
Right. Yeah. I also think that kids, speaking of kids, I think kids are a test, there's no doubt. Kids can either pull you apart, depends on how things go, but they also is a strong motivating factor to compromise. Because for the children's sake, and I would say, in our culture, Desi culture for sure, there's a stigma against divorce. Maybe more than it should be in a sense. I think divorce should be always an option on the table, and it is, even within our society. But for American society even, where divorce is extremely common, first marriage, second marriage, third marriage, this stepmom, that stepmom, are super common. Even for them, they try to stick together for the children's sake. It's super common. So I think while children are no doubt a test, I think at the same time, it's a strong motivating factor to make this work as much as you possibly can. Anyway, we would delve into this deeper than I expected, but yes, that was a big part of the past couple of weeks of our lives, is setting all this up for our brother. But we had a couple other topics we want to discuss today. Starting with, I think we always talk politics first, but this time let's start with the thing with honey. I thought it was actually quite fascinating.
It's the honey scandal, yeah. So I saw this video that kind of summarized what honey was doing. And we all know what honey is. If you've ever used it, it's the pop-up, it's like a plugin for your browser that essentially pops up when you're about to go to checkout, and it's like, hey, we'll get coupon codes. Maybe we'll find some coupon codes across the internet. If something works, great. It's like just free money for you, right? That's essentially what it advertises itself. It's like, hey, we're non-intrusive. We just come up right at the end. We might get you a coupon, and if you get a coupon for you, then it's free money, right? You don't have to go looking.
It's just breaking out. It's affiliate marketing based, right? So if
No, that's
Not yet.
we're
That's
not
a
getting
separate
that.
thing. This is just a helpful add-on extension for your browser.
You
It goes for
don't
all
have
browsers.
Honey?
no, I don't have any.
I have Honey.
Oh, yeah.
I still have Honey. Actually, I didn't remove it.
So the thing is, like, look, at the end of the day, when you check out, you see the little option to enter coupons,
a promo
right?
code or something.
A promo code. So on some purchases, you're like, you know what? Let me go find a promo code. It'll be great because it's kind of expensive purchase. Maybe you can find
I
something.
just ChatGPT that.
Really?
Oh, really?
Whenever I
Does
see
it
a
work?
promo code, I ask ChatGPT if it's a promo code, and it'll tell me a promo code. It often works.
That's
But
pretty good.
use the search feature, not like use the search version of ChatGPT or just ChatGPT.
Yeah, I just type in ChatGPT, I need a promo code for this, or I'll send a screenshot, send me a promo code for this website.
You know, I should try that.
And it gives you very accurate promo codes.
That makes sense.
That's pretty great. But before that, people just scour for promo codes, and people still do, right? And this thing promises basically, hey, look, we scour the internet for you, right? Users can report codes, whatever it is, and we will get the best codes for you. And they said they promise we will get the best codes for you, right? So that's a promise. And if you really think about it, when I saw this, I was like, you know what they're actually doing, how they're making money? They make money like everybody else makes money. They just take your data and sell it. You know, they remove some sensitive things, and then because now they know the demographic,
exactly what you're purchasing.
Yeah, they can read your cookies or whatever it is, and then they know what you're purchasing, and then they're gonna.
Especially when they link with PayPal, that made more sense to me. Once PayPal bought them out,
no, they bought them out for a different reason, though.
I understand that, but I'm saying, but this is my mind, right? This is initial before all this news came out, but I'm like, oh, PayPal bought them, and now they can really link. Now they know credit card history on top of your exact purchase history, because normally a credit card company finds out you purchased something from Best Buy, you purchased something from Amazon, an amount total. They don't know whether it's tech. They don't know anything about what it actually is, technically, right? But now Honey tells them exactly what it is. They were there at checkout.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. So I thought their money-making scheme is like everybody else's. That's free. Mm-hmm. We're going to sell your data.
We should probably do that as well.
They should probably do.
Are we just cool people selling our data?
Nowadays you are, because
you have to be.
You pretty much
I mean,
everybody sells
if you're going to use any free service, you're going to have your data, they're going to sell your data. Actually, that's Google's entire premise. The Google ads is based on, we know everything about you and can sell your ads best. Facebook ads, same way. TikTok ads,
OpenAI as well. ChatGPT.
Of course.
Because whatever you talk to it knows your demographic. But so that's what I thought. But turns out they're far more evil than that. You might have seen Honey on several YouTubers, in their like ad segments, right? All these YouTubers promoting Honey. That's where I've seen most of it. And they promote Honey. They say install Honey, and Honey essentially pays them to advertise for them. But ultimately, it turns out Honey is stealing most from the very people that advertise Honey, because what they do is they take away the what do you call it? The fee or
the affiliate
kickback. Kickback. Essentially,
commission.
Kickback.
So it's commission,
right?
basically, yeah.
So YouTubers make money a lot of times off of products they review, things they talk about, their own camera gear maybe they use, right? They have like, here's my setup. Click on these links. It takes you to Amazon or some,
Our setup is so poor that we don't even give you links.
We don't
you don't want to know.
Yeah, but they essentially
It'll get better.
These links go out to the stores. They have a cookie when you go to that store. A cookie gets set on your browser saying that, hey, this person sent you to this checkout page, right? And when you're there, you're ready to check out. You buy the product, and the YouTuber, whoever sent you,
it's like it's a significant amount. It's like 5% or something.
It's a significant amount.
And so if you buy $100 item, so if a YouTuber sends you to some item that costs $100 and you purchase it from their affiliate link, having been sent to Amazon through their affiliate link, they'll get $5 out of the 100 or so you spent. Okay,
which is huge.
Why are they evil? Why is
now
evil?
we're getting to why they're evil.
So what this thing does is when that pop-up appears saying that, hey, you're on the checkout page, click this button and we will find coupons for you. The second you interact with Honey, it replaces the cookie and makes themselves the affiliate. They take the kickback, the YouTuber gets absolutely nothing.
That's okay though, so long as they've explained that to them.
But many of them don't know. So what they've done is...
Well, if they explain it...
Well, they're paying YouTubers upfront some money for advertising their product.
YouTubers would never do this because once you install Honey, does anybody uninstall it?
Basically, affiliate marketing. So imagine this. By the way, the guy who kind of exposed all this recently, he says that like 3 billion people have been exposed to this or something like that. Exposed to Honey through these big YouTubers ads. They've got almost every YouTuber. Mr. Beast was on there. Mr. Beast probably has the biggest audience, right? Mr. Beast, name like the top 10 biggest YouTubers, probably all have Honey as a sponsor. And Mr. Beast sells merch. Linus Tech Tips sells merch. He sells a ton of merch.
Merch is themselves, but affiliate links, right? Well, that's
affiliate, but I'm saying, but even that, but I'm saying if they go to any store to buy their merch and it comes up as a thing, they'll be an affiliate too. I'm just saying, anyone who links to merchandise as an affiliate, they're stealing from them. And almost every YouTuber does. Almost every YouTuber, without fail, does.
The way YouTubers make money is from affiliate links. And
it's
so
a part
Honey
of their
destroys
sponsorships
that.
and stuff. Like there's many things. But
having said that, they took money from Honey. So they can't be
so
evil.
one time, Honey gave them one time, and from then on, they steal every
basically,
single affiliate.
If anyone, let's say they have...
So don't take money from Honey.
Now it's too late. But people didn't know this, by the way. So
People
it's a fine
didn't know.
print.
No, of course not.
For example, literally, I don't really find on this. Linus Tech Tips found this out at some point. He discovered that Honey was doing this. They contacted Honey saying, hey, we don't like this practice. Honey says, no, we're going to keep doing this. And so LTT stopped.
Stopped using them as a sponsor because LTT, whenever they like a sponsor, they use them multiple times. It's not like a one-time thing, right? They advertise Honey many, many times. As soon as they found out this is happening, they should have told the whole community about this, but they didn't for some reason. But as soon as they found out, they canceled their deal with Honey. They said, we're no longer going to use you as a sponsor, right? Like D-Brand, for instance, right? Linus uses D-Brand sponsorships like on many, many videos. It's a strong sponsorship partner. Honey was too for a while, and then as soon as they found this bad practice, they stopped. But what happens is it's too late. Once it installs on your browser, most people won't know any better. They won't uninstall it. And the amazing thing is, it's right at checkout. When you already have intent to purchase, right? Because usually these links, these affiliate links, take you to the page, not to checkout.
The product page.
The product page. And then you click, yes, I want to buy. Take me to the checkout page. And when you are literally about to give money, Honey pops up and says, click this button. As soon as you click the button, they steal the commission.
And here's the thing. They'll do it whether there's a promo code available or not. So here's the thing. So normally the idea of Honey is that we're going to give you promo codes. You'll save money. And for you and me, the end user, not a huge deal, except we'll get to some of the stuff later. As far as this goes, as far as the affiliate code doesn't affect us. It affects the YouTubers, right? Who are promoting Honey and now getting kind of like screwed over, right? So that's one aspect. So it doesn't affect us. However, even when there's no promo code, there's a pop-up comes up, oh, we didn't find any codes. And there's this giant pop-up on your screen. You want to get rid of it. You're like, oh, no promo codes. When you click the continue button, again, they replace the affiliate link.
Even though they don't give you any coupon. Just, you want this little screen to go away? Click this button. Boom.
Okay, so that's one thing. Now, that doesn't affect the end user much. But now here's a part that does affect us, you and me, the end user. Now, YouTubers are affected. Everyone who advertised Honey potentially got screwed over by Honey, and not realizing it's not necessarily Honey's fault, but again, it's really scummy to do this without being very obvious about it. People who discovered they backed out.
By the way, they make a lot of money. Think about it. They are making commission on every single purchase because they pop up on every single purchase. So much so that PayPal bought them for $4 billion.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's talk about the next nefarious part. Yeah. Now this gets even crazier, right? So this part affects the YouTubers or the people who are advertising them. They're kind of shooting themselves in the foot. In a sense,
not
right?
even YouTubers, by the way. Blog posts, articles, they have affiliate links. Anybody with an affiliate link, Honey is there to steal it from you.
Yeah, basically.
And the best example was you go to like Best Buy and stuff, right? Some guy sales rep goes, shows you the TV. You want to buy the TV? He's like, hey, just mention my name, or he takes you to the register himself, right? And that's the idea of these sales guys, right? Even the car guys, hey, mention my name. I'm the one who referred you.
He gets a commission.
You go there, he gets a commission, right? Imagine some guy is sitting at the counter when you're about to make a purchase, and right then he's just sitting there. He doesn't do any work, and right at the end, he just swaps the other guy's commission card with his, and that's it. That's all he does.
He's not doing any of the work.
And by the way, he's still not giving any discount.
Because sometimes he doesn't give a discount. It's like, fine, maybe Stanley gives a coupon code at the end and says, hey, now put my name too.
Okay, but how does it affect the end user?
Now, here's the effect on the end user. So how does Honey kind of tell companies to use them? They're like, hey, why don't you, affiliate yourself, whether it's Walmart or Target or Amazon
so Honey
or
is
anybody.
also advertising itself to businesses.
To businesses.
Which is, how does it do it? What it does is it tells businesses, look how many people use Honey, all right? They can get the best coupons out there. And we will constantly...
Whether you want them or not, because once a coupon's released, even though you only released the coupon to a target loyal audience, the internet finds out, and now the coupon code is on Honey. And so everyone's getting 20% off all your goods instead of just a loyal customer who already bought 5 things from you. They're like, you know what? Everyone gets these coupon codes from Honey. They don't look it up. They used to. But now, it's been years, everyone's using Honey. They just click the button. Honey promises to find them all the best coupon codes. And so now they're like, hey, you know what? You link yourself to us. You become a Honey partner.
And that's why you have the Honey 10 promo code.
Yeah, and that's why Honey 10. Now, why does Honey have promo codes? Because Honey affiliates now, instead of feeding them that 20% off coupon code that you only want select viewers to have or your customers to have, they will only show the coupon codes you want them to see. In fact, we'll limit it. Honey will only show them coupon codes that give them 5% off. Never 20, never 15.
They can control it. They have better control. So now Honey is lying to us, saying that we'll find the best coupon codes for you. Before, maybe we could have found the best coupon code.
Wow.
If you just Google it, you'll do much better.
Yes, but now we are also getting ripped off because we're not getting the best coupon. We're just trusting this.
So seems like this is a business that can be easily replaced, right? It's just a Chrome extension. And now you can make a ChatGPT wrapper. That's exactly how I use things, right?
That's not the question. Of course.
No, but
it's a very
that's
easy
fine.
thing.
There's not much of a moat.
But that means somebody has the knowledge that this is cheating them.
It's ubiquitous. Yeah. If everyone thinks Honey is doing what it's doing, because by the way, up until a week ago, I still have Honey installed. It's installed on this computer right here. I need to remove it. I just haven't done so. It's just not worth it, right? But that's something worth noting. And so no one's done that. So, and it's ubiquitous because they, like I said, they have like 300 million, whatever, some insane number of views because they have every single YouTuber that paid commission at least once. Mr. Beast did them several times.
Forget that. Let's talk about Muslims. There's a lot of these, donation things, right? You can do the donation partnership with Amazon, right? With Salam and all these other organizations. You could choose your thing. Essentially, it's all kickbacks, right? It's all like, hey, we'll put this cookie in. Honey will replace that too. It's affecting all these nonprofits and stuff.
Oh, because you know what? I actually got an add-on that every time I click on Amazon link, it goes to smiles@amazon.com, so it goes to my designated, I think it's like Islamic Relief or something.
But Honey might change that.
Honey might change that too. They might.
At the last moment.
Yeah.
They'll change that too.
Because if there's an affiliate partner, then it won't give it to, because you can use smile.amazon.com on anything, on any product. And they'll just donate to a nonprofit on your behalf, a percentage of that purchase.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you guys should get it. It's called like, there's an add-on for this for sure. And it just changes, anytime you click on any link anywhere, if you just go to amazon.com, it'll change it to smile.amazon.com. And that way it always donates. But if there's an affiliate link, then it doesn't donate to both.
But I wonder if you can do that. This is a good thing. I just want to know because most of my purchases I make on Amazon is through my phone.
I don't know.
Through the app.
Yeah.
I know Firefox for phone has add-ons. I think Chrome for phone has add-ons. I don't think Chrome.
Can we set it as a default on the app or something?
There is a way, but I think only if you are like a Prime member. I think you can do that. I think the average person can't. There's a restriction on that. Yeah, I think I've said it. I'm pretty sure
I had to figure that out because that's a good point. But either way, so that's the one scam that they do, right? They are now not giving the best coupon code. They're partnering with businesses. It's just a very scummy practice, right? It's like they built their entire business.
But hey, like, is this something that you're going to petition the Federal Trade Commissioner, the FTC, Lina Khan, to fix this problem? Is it anti-competitive?
It's kind of fraud. It's fraud in a sense. But either way, you're screwing people over without them knowing about it. It's
because let's just say you have the intention. You want to support Linus. So you purposely click that link instead of searching it. So a lot of people do that. A lot of people want to support without giving them money, they support by purchasing through somebody's affiliate link.
Sure.
And a lot of people have that intention.
I've done that before.
Genuinely. A lot of people have that intention. But now that intention is getting taken away by Honey without the user knowing it. Mm-hmm. Honey gives absolutely no indication that they're about to steal your affiliate link.
So do you think this is like a middleman kind of thing? Like in Islam?
100%.
It's fraud.
I think if it was abundantly clear to everyone, I bet you, now that this news out, a bunch of people are about to drop Honey. And Honey's about to become a lot less profitable really quick, is my guess. Because people are going to pick up on this. There are. I know a lot of people, like, who's responding to this? Like, big people were responding to this Honey thing. They're kind of reviewing the videos they do. Hey, let's watch this video together. These big YouTubers. And so it's interesting. It's very interesting to know. And you know what's interesting about that? You brought this up, that people try to support. I genuinely, when it came to a product, when I first got interested in a product, and I went down a rabbit hole of seeing if I wanted the product, I listened to many other reviews, I read stuff about it, blah, 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 blah. I'll go back and I'm like, you know what? It's this guy who got me interested in it. He spoke about it really well. I actually go back and find that person's video. I clicked on their affiliate link and purchased a product.
Oh, that's good.
But I maybe clicked on Honey at the end, and then it was all mute to begin with, which is annoying. I've genuinely done this before. And
that's good.
Because I feel like I should give back.
Because that's an easier way to give back. Rather than give them like, what do you call it?
Patreon.
Patreon or something else. Purchase the product, and they get
a
money,
piece of the
right?
pie. It's great. Yeah.
So let's get our affiliate links in for your Samsung Galaxy Fold phone.
or even these mics, right? Whatever it is, like something, our setup or whatever.
We could down the road. But yeah, anyway, the honey thing is very interesting. If you guys have honey plugin, totally recommend
Deleting it.
Apparently,
until
there's a
they
bigger thing
fix
to this fraud.
the thing.
The guy's supposed to continue.
Yeah,
so
there's
maybe
gonna be
we'll
a
touch
part
on it
2
later.
coming up at some point. Yeah.
It's apparently the fraud gets way worse and way bigger. Again, you want to make bets on what that is? I have no idea what that is. Like, what could be worse?
Then these two things.
Like, what could be so
I
bad?
don't know. He's like, and it's worse. And then kind of the video just literally just abruptly cuts off, and you're like, I kind of went back. I'm like, did I accidentally end it? Did I click pause? But no, he just ends it. And he has these people talking about, at the end, actually, the last few clips he had in this video were YouTubers saying that I got scammed. I got this. And there's something big also
there's something
on.
big. Somehow a YouTuber is affected way more than somebody stealing their
affiliate
links.
I'm not sure how, but
I don't
somehow.
know how,
but anyway, it's interesting. We'll see whenever part 2 comes out, whatever this guy reveals. We'll see what it's about.
But yeah, if anybody has honey.
Yeah, and also, I mean, if you just Google this honey thing, it's worth watching this gentleman's video. I want to give credit where credit's due. Fantastic video. It's about 20 minutes long, and he talks about the whole thing.
Yeah.
If we can link it below.
We should have given credit.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the description.
I'll link it in the description, the person's video. It's fantastic. Worth a watch for sure.
But this is something great, right? Replace that with ChatGPT. Apparently that does...
Dude, we should totally make this app.
This is
a browser extension that detects when you're on checkout. I'm assuming Honey has access to your entire browser, right? So same thing, browser extension, knows when you're on checkout, automatically searches for the latest promo codes, and just presents them.
Submits it for you
Simple.
or something. Yeah.
Simple. I do that already, right?
Yeah.
It just
actually just presents it. You can copy and paste it yourself. You don't have to get complicated.
But then what's your business model? How are you going to make money?
Once you have an audience, you can start selling their data. I mean, as they all do. Just saying. Anyway, food for thought.
What's a business model that people could do, and it's like a clean way of doing business? You see those like buy me a coffee. You know those things? Buy me a coffee. Right? So every single time
people actually do.
People do. Actually, I bought the guy coffee once. You know the original AdBlock guy? The guy who, not AdBlock Plus, but he made the original AdBlock little red stop sign guy. Every time I download the add-on, it popped up his little face, his guy's face and stuff. Can you please buy me a coffee? The average person donates like $1.50. Can you guys be $3, whatever it is? And one time I'm like, you know what? Like, forget the other big company AdBlock makers. I'm gonna donate like $1 to this guy. Switching gears, I do want to talk about what happened in Germany. Because it's interesting. I mean, we've had these crazy people do dumb things before, but apparently there is a Saudi national who was an immigrant to Germany. He's been living in Germany maybe 20 years or something now. He's a doctor, apparently. He was in some sort of vehicle and he ran over some kind of Christmas crowd of some sort, Christian crowd. And he killed.
Apparently they have a lot of open Christmas markets, right? Before
it was a Christmas market, yeah.
And some guy just drove into a bunch of people.
6 people died and about 200 people were injured.
Unless the figure's updated.
I saw a video.
5 or 6 people. No, I think it looks like 5 or 6 people died.
Did you see the video?
People injured. I did not see the video. No.
Oh,
I read about it.
I saw a video. So there was some kind of footage, and this car just rams like really fast.
There's a lot of people there.
Bunch of people. Yeah, it's like from afar, so you can't see too many details, but you can see people just rams through a lot.
So I'll get some details, and
really
then you guys can listen, into the kind of commentary on it. But it looks like, this person was a Saudi national. It looks like he was known for his extremist views to begin with. He was on some sort of watch list, but then they had decided that he wasn't, going to commit some terrorist act or anything like that. But he was on a known watch list. He was known for his erratic behavior and kind of crazy thoughts. And then this guy did this. And then the news media...
He saw asylum in Germany, and they gave him asylum. When I think it's Saudi... one of the politicians said they actually spoke out saying that don't do it, don't give this guy asylum, but Germany still gave this guy asylum. Actually, Elon Musk tweeted that. They said this guy was known.
Yeah.
The Saudi was saying don't give this guy asylum, like this guy's not great, and they still gave him asylum.
So now it looks like this person, he was, despite being from Saudi, it looks like he was his views on social media and everywhere, very anti-Islamic, Zionist for that matter. Just really, despite being from Saudi, he was an atheist, very non-Islamic, despite you would think a guy from Saudi would be some extremist, Al-Qaeda type. No, this guy's the complete opposite, but committed this crazy act. And then the general thing, obviously, from the EU and stuff was, there was a lot of talk about immigration where people like, I think it was like, I think Netherlands was some country like that around there was like, I think it was Hungary. Hungary's like, we gotta be much more strict on who we're letting into our country. We gotta have a stricter
Germany has a
border
lot of
control
that
policy.
talk right nowadays, right? Talk about immigration, talk about Muslims, right? There's this general sentiment against Muslims because Germany. Okay, look, let's be honest. It's been occupied by Jewish powers ever since the World War, right? They essentially won overall. Like they have a pretty solid control of that country, right? Like anti-Semitism laws are passed there pretty early.
Strong, actually, the harshest there.
The harshest.
Like you do a Nazi salute or something in Germany,
extremely
like
harsh there, right?
you're really done something.
So it's a stronghold, right? It's so much so that they don't tolerate anything like that, right? Even when everything else is going on in Palestine, Germany as a whole,
very strongly with Israel.
Very strong with Israel. Doesn't matter what happens. They just either it's some kind of control or some kind of major regret. And
they want to overcompensate.
I doubt it's regret.
Or they're overcompensating on the world stage.
You know, I've talked to some Germans directly, right? The ones who are not too afraid of their past. They're not like liberal. Dude, they look upon their past as something that they are forced to smother and hide. But they're not.
You mean they like the Nazism, or they're like?
No, they're saying like, why should we be we were defeated essentially, right? And now they're telling us you were defeated and you should feel bad about it. They're like, whatever. Like, why should I feel bad about it? Yeah, sure, there's peace right now, so there's no need for war or anything. But why should we feel bad about our ancestors?
And basically, why should I feel guilty for what my ancestors did?
Yeah,
like that sense, sure.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
So the asylum thing, I just want to talk about that for a second. So if Saudi was telling Germany, hey, don't give him asylum, and Germany gives him asylum, in general, that's a good thing, right? That's how asylum works. Just like in our last episode, we talked about this guy who escaped from prison in Syria. He was in the UAE, and the UAE was protecting him, but Syria wanted him back. Syria said, don't give him asylum. UAE said, maybe not. Then UAE eventually decided, you know what, I'm going to give him.
No, but there's two different things, right?
That's how asylum works.
One guy is being persecuted unjustly. Another country gives him asylum. It's a good thing. One guy is a criminal. And
he's a criminal to the state, right? Of course.
But it depends on why he's a criminal to the state. Is he criminal because of his views?
Unhinged or whatever?
Or is he because... Imagine we kick out some murderer. Some guy murders 20 people in this country, and we're trying to find him. He leaves, and he seeks asylum in some other country. We're like, look, he murdered 20 people.
Openly gives him asylum.
We want him back.
Not all asylum is good. This is ridiculous, right?
Yeah. Edward Snowden's a very specific example. Edward Snowden, right? He seeks Russia somewhere, right?
Russia, yeah.
So it's like, here's someone who whistle blew. Again, he didn't murder anybody. He committed treason. Big crime. But again, it's not a crime that Russia's going to care about. You committed treason in America, Russia might be happy about that. Tell us all your secrets, please, right? But he wasn't a mass murderer committing crimes and a crazy person. He's not the next door crazy neighbor.
He was unhinged.
Right? Apparently he's unhinged, known for just crazy beliefs. And then you give him asylum to a crazy person, which is very different than giving asylum to someone who maybe committed treason against that state, but that's not your state. You don't give a crap, right? Very different.
Yeah, so the other thing I'm really confused about, right? Which I feel like I have an answer to this, but if you really look about just general people looking into the story, here's some guy who hates Muslims, Zionist, right? Arab-sounding name, comes from Saudi, right? These are all things about immigrant. These are all statuses that he has, right? Descriptions of him. Then he goes and attacks Christians, right? There's clearly a motive, right? What's the motive? He dislikes Christians, but he hates Muslims. Why didn't he go attack Muslims, right? And so a lot of people will say like, oh, he's actually a fake. This is when we go to Taqiyya, right?
Taqiyya.
Oh, he was actually really a Muslim, but he just hates Christians, and he just said all this nonsense, so he set up this attack. Absolute nonsense. Because while he was living,
it's a false flag, basically.
It's a false flag or something like that. Absolute nonsense, right? It gets me thinking. There's clearly somebody behind. It's not a lone wolf situation, right?
It could be. He's crazy. It's possible.
It's crazy, but somebody's using it because the thing is, why do this attack? He hates Muslims.
Well, you can't reason with a crazy person. I mean, he can do whatever.
Dude, he hates Muslims. He's a pro-Zionist. Why attack the Christians?
But that's what they're saying. So now, okay, I don't know what the reason might be, but they're saying it's Taqiyya. And then we can go into what Taqiyya is. On a basic level, Taqiyya basically means where a Muslim is allowed to lie in times of distress. So generally speaking, and I'll go into a little bit of a little monologue here, but
no fatwas given.
Want to ask?
Yeah.
When did you find out about Taqiyya? What the Taqiyya is? Like what?
I learned about Taqiyya, I would say late teens. I was like maybe 17, 18, 19 years old when I discovered that, Taqiyya is like a thing. Or maybe even later. Could have been college. When I probably discovered Taqiyya.
It was pretty late for me. I don't know exactly when, but it was late, like in life. Right?
It was not like you're taught this as a young child or anything like that. It's not part of normal schooling. It's not part of Sunday school for sure. In fact, so I would say the basic premise in Islam is this. Lying is bad. You don't lie. Lying is evil. Okay? And there's actually a couple instances where lying is allowed. Okay? One is...
But even I knew that as a kid, right?
Yeah.
But I never knew the word taqiyya associated with it. Because taqiyya, even though, yes, we know that word in Sunni Islam, what that word means, but it's actually more strongly associated with what Shia practices, right? And honestly, I had no idea what Shiaism was. Again, until later.
I learned in college.
Look, I did a lot of comparative religion. I did a lot of other things. I knew about Christianity back and forth. I knew about atheism. Watched a lot of debates. Never saw a debate from a Sunni with a Shia. Never saw it in my life. Right? Way later in life, I was in college when one of my roommates, turns out he was Shia. I had no idea he was Shia, and he was like, "Oh yeah, my older brother's halal girlfriend." And I was like, "Just wait a minute. What a halal girlfriend?" Again, I had no idea what Shiaism is. And he's like, yeah, it's halal girlfriend. Oh, it's muta marriage.
Muta marriage. That was shocking.
And when I heard that, I'm like, wait, that's allowed in Islam? Now I'm thinking, holy crap, I could get married temporarily? That would solve so many issues.
It would. You can have a girlfriend. He's like a halal girlfriend, yeah.
I started looking this up, and I'm like,
it was a rabbit hole.
It was a rabbit hole, and I'm like, this is a Shia practice. Honestly, my first thing I learned about Shia ever
was muta marriage.
Besides muta marriage, honestly, like true beliefs, I learned muta marriage, and I'm like,
that was the first eye opening. My point is like Taqiyya is a bigger part of Shia practice. They have other kind of regulations around that, but I would say for Sunni Islam, generally, like I said, there's two things that you can lie in. One is, and this is like I guess domestic, is where a husband can lie to his wife to basically make her feel happy. She comes and says, "Do I look beautiful?" And you maybe at that moment you're like, maybe not, but you're like, you know what? This is a moment where I think you look beautiful.
Yeah.
Just say so, because there's no harm in that, right? You could be like, hey, maybe the other dress is better, and it doesn't mean you can't get positive feedback. The point is like, you can lie to me. Is this food taste good? Unless she's already made it. It's the only food available tonight. Just say, yeah, it tastes good and eat it, right? That's one situation, right? So that's a scenario. Again, it's supposed to be a lie that basically saves your marriage in a sense. Keeps your wife happy, keeps your family happy, happy wife, happy life, right? So that's one. The other situation is when your life is under threat, and there's some things about war too, but basically your life is under threat. Okay, so someone enters my house, because they heard the news and all Muslims are evil, and he puts a knife through my throat or holds a gun to my head and says, renounce your religion now or I'm going to kill you and all your children. I'd be like,
well, there's the real life example right now.
But I'm just saying, in that moment, I could easily say, oh yeah, I love Jesus. I'm not Muslim. I would do that to save me, my family, or my kids. Or let's say he puts a gun to my kids'
This is happening
head,
in India right now, right? So many people in India, these Muslims, they're getting these gangs and stuff come out there and make them praise Ram or anything else. There's so many videos of that, like beating them up and telling them to praise Ram or praise that, and they're doing it. Not that they believe in this. This happened in the Reconquista, right? Mm-hmm. When all the Spanish people, they came to these Muslims and they said renounce religion. And a lot of these Muslims stayed secret Muslims, but openly they renounced it because or else they'll be put to death. They had no other choice.
And you would hang pork and stuff like that to
Yeah, so in this case they practiced a lie to save their life, right? That is essentially that it has to go to that degree where you lie about your own religion to save your life.
Now, granted, I read about this a long time ago when I first learned about it, like I said, high school, college time, but mostly college. But I think there's another scenario where in times of war and espionage and things of that nature, again, I would say that does sort of kind of fall into, threat to life or something like that, where in espionage and stuff, you don't have to necessarily always tell 100% the truth, right? A white lie, if you can, get away with it. Tell them incomplete truths. Again, you try not to lie even in those situations, but war is very different scenario. And now it's some people, they claim, they're always at war against the infidels. That's not the case. You don't just go around lying to the average, I live in America. I don't just go around lying to anybody because I'm like, well, this is, we're at war. I'm not at war with this country. I love this country. I live in this country for a reason, right? That's complete BS. And so people are saying, this is Taqiyya, this guy he's supposedly anti-Muslim. He's actually a secret Muslim terrorist who just plowed through a bunch of Christians for apparently no reason.
If this guy was so religious and practicing, killing innocent people. This is like gonna. This is extremely bad. Like, what kind of practicing Muslim is he that he's practicing Taqiyya, but then at the end he like kills a bunch of innocent people? This is absolutely women and children and just regular people. This is horrible.
Besides the wife thing, I don't think Taqiyya is practiced by anybody on a regular basis, unless you are like a spy in enemy territory. Maybe then, sure. But
if Muslims were in control of Germany, we would have hung him. We would have given him capital punishment immediately.
Yeah. Right
now, he's probably going to be extradited to jail. He's been probably great food if he survived. I don't know if he survived or not. It's a liberal country. They're going to treat him well in prison. If it was a Muslim country, we would have...
Sharia law, for what it's worth, the same law that lets you do Taqiyya on a very limited basis would also take this man and kill him immediately.
Immediately, for what he did.
Yeah, because when you murder people, the punishment for that is you get killed. Death. Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's so strange. And then you know what it comes down to? It's like, that's why. So now this is my assessment of why this happened. I don't think it's just a random crazy guy, right? I think somebody's behind him. Yeah, there's a random crazy guy. That's for sure.
Conspiracy hats on.
No, 100%. This is a conspiracy hat. That's about my belief, right? There's a random conspiracy. There's a random guy. The thing is, these governments, right? We always know that false flag operations are crazy, right? They happen. We know they're real. 100%. America conducts them. Every country conducts them, right?
100%.
You find crazy people that exist in your society. You send people to them, and you convince them to carry out an act. Why do you do that? So these people are crazy. I'm not saying that they're not crazy. They are crazy. Nobody would do this, and they're not crazy, because what is he getting out of it? Jail time? Like, what is he getting out of this?
Exactly.
Right? Unless they have a bunch of stuff on him, but I don't think they need much stuff. This guy's crazy, right? So they find these guys who are crazy. They make them do horrible acts, and for the simple purpose of, now they're gonna be like, hey, immigration is bad. These people, the Muslims are bad. Even though this guy's clearly atheist Zionist, they're not even talking about that. But you read the guy's name, and everybody who's watching this is like, Muslim bad, right?
Yeah.
Muslim bad, immigration bad.
Even though he wasn't Muslim, he was clearly atheist. He's
this guy hates us, right? I think that is the agenda.
Yeah, but now that leads us to immigration, right? Immigration. So a lot of the critique that came from this, I was reading. So J.D. Vance and Elon Musk had a critique. Two parts to this critique. One part is they didn't like the way this was reported in the news. So the way it was reported in the news was, car drives into Christmas,
which is a ridiculous
market or something like that, right? And I think it's not that a car, the culprit isn't the car. It's like, who the frick drove the car? There's no doubt about it, right? Now, we can go into who that person was and whether he was doing Taqiyya or not. I mean, fine. You can at least talk about the person. That makes a lot more sense. I agree with that. Why is the mainstream media just saying car plowed into a group? It makes very little sense for what it's worth.
It's nonsense, yeah.
Yeah, that's nonsense. So that's one thing. The second part about this is the immigration debate, right? We need stricter border control. And it's been going on. I mean, that was a big part of Donald Trump's campaign, right, in the United States. And it was last time and this time too, right? The whole border wall and all that. And so, what does that mean for immigration? Not just this, but in general, on a broader sense. How does this affect immigration? Are the people who are stabbing people, these lower socioeconomic class? I'll tell you briefly, from my point of view, it's like, there's no doubt where it could be, in my mind. When I think about this, people saying, it's these people, these immigrants coming in doing a lot of crime. And I bet you, if you look at stats, I would think that amongst immigrant populations in foreign countries, there is going to be a higher percentage of people committing crimes amongst immigrants than non-immigrants.
No.
And so, but I'm telling you why. It's not because they're immigrants. It's because I think people in lower socioeconomic classes tend to commit more crimes, and it happens to be the lot of immigrants are poor.
So I'll tell you why.
That's why.
Over time, America did immigrate early on too, right? America had immigration policies and all that stuff and whatnot. But America had different policies for different places, right? Depending on which country they're coming from, they had different policies. Initially, if you look at America compared to, let's say, UK, right? UK, the Pakistani population in the UK, they come from poor families from the Pakistan, right? Taxi drivers, they're not doing well. They're not like major business owners or engineers or doctors, right? Yeah. Super educated. They're coming from a low socioeconomic class, and they brought them in. And when did they bring them in? They brought them pretty early on, right? Because UK invaded India. When UK left India, a lot of people came over for whatever reason. They had that policy of coming over. And so they got a lot of people, because their immigration policy at that time, the way they worked, was people from low socioeconomic classes came
as labor or otherwise, yeah.
Now, if you look in America, and you can look at this, right? Pakistani population in the UK, lower socioeconomically. Pakistani population in the U.S., we actually, out of every single job in America, medicine, there's a separate tick box that if you're Pakistani. That's how overrepresented Pakistanis in America are in medicine, right? Yeah. If you look at California,
case in point.
Yeah, if you look at California, if you look at the Desi guy in California, Indian or Pakistani, you would think he's doing well. He's a top earner, 1% or like.
Indian Americans are the highest earning.
Yeah, top 1%.
Yeah.
They're doctors.
Pakistanis aren't far behind.
They have a nice car down the street.
They're doctors, engineers, educated people, right? They've done some upper level education, generally speaking, right? And so in California, you won't find a lot of crime from this demographic. You just won't, right? It doesn't exist. If you look at Canada, Canada is not quite as bad as UK in terms of the Pakistani population that came there, but it's not as wealthy. The Pakistani population isn't as wealthy as the ones in America. Mm-hmm. Texas, Jersey, here. Pakistani population here is way more wealthy.
Look, you're essentially saying the same thing, right? Yeah. You're basically both are saying the lower the socioeconomic status, the higher the crime you're going to expect from a certain immigrant community, right? Regardless of what their race or ethnic background is. Now, what's the solution for that?
I think immigration. So I agree with immigration.
He's saying have special immigration policies depending on the type of people you're getting from.
Yeah, look,
that place
country,
generally, maybe.
A country. Why do they want people in their country? This is the same reason Germany wanted it. After the war, Germany was devastated. They brought a lot of Turkish help, but they needed Turkish workers because they had to rebuild their country. The UK needed workers because they needed to rebuild their country. America didn't need that, right? America was doing fine. They needed immigration early on for specialists. If you're educated,
bring your knowledge.
Bring your knowledge. Yeah. You know, let's brain drain the rest of the world. You come here and you help us out, right? And that's fine. That will help America in the long run. I think that's a great immigration policy, right? And now what it is we're going to take refugees because we can't invading you, low socioeconomic class. We're taking anybody who wants to come because, you know, we're liberals and we just want to welcome and open the borders. It's ridiculous. You're going to ruin America.
No, I do think, okay, to some level, doing good as a country. I know as individuals, we donate money, we try to feed the poor, we try to do this. Maybe we'll help some woman get some shelter or set someone up in a hotel for a week or two until they get on their feet or whatever it is, right? We do this on an individual level. As a nationwide level, I think that you could do that too. Because that's the only way it can happen. Like, when you have 2 million Syrian refugees, as they were like not too long ago here, then yeah, you can take a portion of them in and help them out and stuff like that. I don't think that's unreasonable.
No, there's two ways of doing this, right? Don't invade their country. That's one solution. You won't get Syrian refugees.
Sure, but I'm saying
now, if you are
let's say there are refugees.
If you are
not talking about the causes.
If you are getting refugees, then you take them in on a slow basis. Again, most of your immigration policy is to the educated. You allocate a small portion of it to
refugees, helpful low income, aid, right? Or whatever. Yeah.
And then you have programs and stuff to get them.
It's not that simple though, right?
No, it's not.
Listen, a refugee crisis is always a crisis. It's not like a tiered thing, let's slowly incorporate them. No, a sudden crisis will happen. You'll have 2 million refugees cross the border into your country. What are you going to do?
No, but you have to have a policy set in place for this to happen. It's like no one knows there's going to actually be an earthquake tomorrow, but we have a policy in place. When the earthquake occurs, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to rebuild. This is, we're going to have the Border Patrol come in and help people evacuate and get them to stadiums and whatnot for housing when the hurricane happened, Katrina, whatever, right? A lot of national resources were mobilized to help out a single city. It's not just local stuff. National aid came in. So now have a policy in place that when there's a refugee crisis, like I said, it's a crisis. It happens all of a sudden. No one expects this to happen. But when there is a refugee crisis, have a policy in place. Look, we have a quota, maybe per year, even whatever. Set something up. Fine, we can take in this many. We're ready for them. Have them come in. Give them some kind of tent housing, something, set up a camp for them, whatever it is. And then have educators go in, maybe teach them the language, teach them skills, whatever, so they can be successful and be integrated into American society.
I just think the percentage of low-income, low-educated people who are immigrants should just be a lot lower. Right? America doesn't benefit from bringing a bunch of people who are low socioeconomic class, low education, right?
It actually does, because you need the people who are going to do the base labor, right? The minimum wage kind of tasks. People are going to clean the sewers. People are going to clean the streets, pick up the trash. And you need these people who are going to take less money and get those jobs done.
That only works if you already don't have people in the U.S. who are, like low income and
There's
suffering.
enough unemployment.
There's so much
to fill
unemployment in the
that
U.S.
up,
already.
Potentially.
There's so much unemployment in the U.S. already.
There's homelessness.
Like amongst the white people here too, like they're very low earners. A lot of the white people, right? Dude, you already have a working class in a way. Why?
But Theo Von said, I didn't see any white privilege. He's
did.
like, hey, I grew up right next to all my black friends. I was in the same neighborhood. Where's my white privilege? Right? And so, yeah, there's a bunch of poor socioeconomic white people in this country who could potentially take those jobs. But actually, that's what also bring labor costs down. When you can bring in illegal immigrants who can do farm labor or whatever in this agriculture state of California, then yeah, that's when wages go down. It does hurt the economy, I feel. In some ways. I'm not saying, look, I do think there should be an allotment for low-skilled labor too.
Look, but it's very different if you could look at U.S. versus Germany or something. It's very different. In the U.S., we have a completely different situation. We have an open border. Millions and millions of people are coming in. That's the problem. They skip the line. They don't get vetted. You have criminals coming in, right? That's a completely problematic issue. Yes, the U.S. should close down the border, number one. They should really fix their asylum process because asylum, by the way, most of these people, these illegals, they come in and when they are, finally encounter the Department of Homeland Security, they claim asylum, right? And then what happens is once they claim asylum, they're like, okay, we can't process your case, so you're free to roam the country until 2 years from now when we'll come and get your case, right? 2 years from now, they come back, they have a bit of a case, and I'm like, we need more information, come back again a year or two later. And this allows them to stay for a very long time. And in the meantime, you get a million more or several million more people coming. So the system is broken very significantly. And
100%.
once they close the border, they can address that. Now, with places like Germany, especially in this particular case that we're talking about, this guy claimed asylum, right? So they need to fix their asylum process. So what Trump, for example, is saying for the U.S. is, we'll do a remaining Mexico program, right? One of the reasons why they separated families from their kids at the border, Obama was doing that too. The reason they were doing that was because they wanted to disincentivize people from coming over.
That's so inhumane. I don't think you should do that.
It's inhumane.
Send the whole family back if you have to.
It's inhumane. But then the other option is, have them with their kids and they're there and you have to support them as well while they're there.
Send them back.
It's a problem. That was just the process of disincentivizing.
Yeah, but that's ridiculous. Just send them back.
No, but the other thing you could do is you can do this remain in Mexico thing that Trump has talked about, where you keep them in Mexico, figure out why they're seeking asylum, because a lot of them are coming from beyond Mexico too, right? From Cuba and other South American countries. So you keep them in Mexico, figure out the asylum process, and then enter them into the country when you've approved their thing. And in Germany, for example,
there should be a quota on how much asylum seekers. You don't want to ruin the demographic. Right now, there seems to be no quota. There's
nothing. It's an open border. So in Germany's case, I'm assuming they don't have an open border issue, right? They're very fixed borders, right? They let this guy in who has clear problems. Again, I don't know his background enough. Maybe you guys do, but sounds like he had very serious issues. Maybe not just political prisoner-wise. Maybe he had actual murders, that kind of stuff. Perhaps Germany didn't believe Saudi, right? Because we know Saudi does all kinds of stuff, right? They killed Jamal Khashoggi in Turkey. All kinds of stuff happened, right? So maybe they don't trust Saudi. So I don't know. I mean, it's weird. But, this is a rogue scenario. Maybe there's some conspiratorial stuff going on behind the scenes. I don't know. But yes, it does play very well into the hands of people who want to push away from immigration, who want to malign the Muslims and further alienate them. And did you guys listen to the Yasir Qadhi lecture about his visit to Germany?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, you listened to it? Man, it was profound.
Yeah.
He talked about how there's a huge number of Muslims there. Turkish Muslims, low socioeconomic status. A lot of them are
Germany has a really big Muslim population.
Yeah, but the problem is all of them go to mosques that are fully run by the Turkish government. They have no political involvement or affiliation.
German government or Turkish government?
Turkish.
Turkish government runs masajid in Germany directly.
Okay.
Look, Turkey and Germany were allies, right? After the World War, Germany had to rebuild. And Turkey as an ally, send them a bunch of workers. But they were just there to work. And their families have been living there forever. However, they still consider themselves Turkish,
Okay.
living in Germany, but Turkish citizens, Turkish everything. They really still dissociate themselves from Germany.
Yeah, and so they live in Germany, but they speak Turkish, they eat Turkish, they attend Turkish khutbahs, everything Turkish, and no political involvement at all. In fact, they also don't take citizenship. They can, but they don't. They prefer being in this green card kind of situation, right? They have a special citizenship, it's a green card kind of thing, where they're not full citizens, they don't need to vote or do anything, but they get to kind of live in the country. And Germany also doesn't, of course, want them to be full citizens. Even though they can, well, yeah, don't be citizens. Don't vote.
Don't vote.
Don't matter. We're happy. Turkish people are happy. Yeah, we don't have to get involved in anything. Germany's happy. And in the end, what happens is Muslims have zero representation, zero power. There's no Muslim MPs or anything in Germany, despite the large, like 8% of Frankfurt apparently is Muslim.
8%?
8%.
That's significant.
It's a very significant number. No Muslim leaders at all.
Yeah.
And so this is actually a model for us. Like Yasin was talking about, like
democracy, representation is important.
Yeah,
if you're going to live in a democracy,
and so it's an example for us of what not to do, right? You want to be involved in the political process at all times. You want to vote. You want to be a citizen. If you're living here and earning here, if you can be a citizen, be a citizen. Vote. Do stuff. Otherwise, you will have no representation at all. Right? And then you'll have stuff like this, or, hey, let's deport the Muslims. Let's kill the Muslims. We don't care about them.
Yeah.
So what happens?
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
But I mean, I think those people, for example, Andrew Tate had tweets about, the immigration policy in the UK and stuff, and saying these bad Muslims come in. It's like, no, I agree that the immigration policy needs to be good, but it's not necessarily a particular group that's bad. It's not the Muslims who are coming in that are bad. It's not anybody. But when you bring in a bunch of lower socioeconomic people, I think crime might go up. That's just my general take on that.
100%, yeah.
But actually, okay, this is... Anything else you guys want to say about this?
The other thing is, like, when it comes to bringing in highly skilled labor, you want to have like a point-based system. Apparently, Australia has a really good system. It's point-based, so depending on your college degree and the stuff you've done, you get certain points, and the highest point people get entered into the country. A lot of people talk about it like it's a draft for a team, right? You want the best players on your team. So you go for the players that have the highest number of points, and you admit them in a certain quota, and khalas.
Immigration is a tool, right? You might want workers. Okay, you bring a worker. You might want people who do agriculture. The immigration should be used as a tool, not as an open border.
It's like that board game Hegemony.
Yeah, Hegemony, right? You use it as a tool. Yeah, you want a certain people coming into your country.
Yeah.
And you use it. Yeah, sometimes you want, like Japan. By the way, Japan.
Yeah.
There's a thing with Japan because Japan is hitting such low birth rate.
I've been reading about that recently.
Such incredibly low birth rate that they are completely losing out on the working people.
They're going to a 4-day work week just so people have more time for leisure.
Yeah.
Have kids, basically.
Have kids, right? So
remember the Japanese thing we saw recently? What? It was a child cartoon thingy. It was a movie. And the whole movie is about some superhero.
No, it's called...
what is it called again?
It's on Netflix. It's... I'll remember the name. But
anyways, the whole premise is a young guy who happens to come across a baby. Okay?
No, so he's fighting... He's a superhero. I think it's a superhuman or something. He's a superhero that they show in like Tokyo or somewhere. And they fight kaiju monsters or whatever. And at some point, the kaiju monster he's fighting has a baby in a castle some evil guy wants to kill, but he realizes it's not a baby until it hatches in his like house. And now he's taking care of this kaiju
Godzilla
baby.
One?
No, it's some kind of kaiju baby, right?
Anyway, go ahead, yeah.
But
yeah, he has to take care of this baby. And now this whole thing about, but this guy's also a baseball superstar because Japan plays baseball. And they beat the US actually pretty good.
Japan's
so this guy plays baseball, and how can he play because he has to take care of the baby, right? And this whole story is about
very human-like.
Yeah, it's a very human-like baby. But the whole idea is how do you live your life professionally while also taking care of a baby, and how much you can still love the baby and admire the baby, and the whole thing is about the baby.
It's about family, baby,
and
all that stuff,
at certain points in the story, they're like, one day when you have your own kids, you will realize how awesome it is.
Yeah, that was the message too. Yeah.
The whole message revolved around having kids, taking care of kids, taking care of babies, even if you're living a professional life. Even if you're a single mother, single father, whatever. Do you
think there's propaganda from the government?
Yeah.
Yes.
All over Netflix. So. But it was super propaganda because he calls somebody else who has kids and tries getting advice on how to take care of
his kid,
his kaiju baby.
And she's a single mother.
She's a single mother, whatever. She's telling him, and she's basically saying it's tough, but I love them and everything else.
It's like it's worth it.
Yeah. It's worth it. It was some crazy thing. But going back to Japan, right? They have a baby problem, and they're realizing that because Japan famously is a society that wants to keep themselves insular. They're not open to other people coming and taking over the country. They like the fact that they're just
They're
one
isolated
ethnicity,
or something?
right?
Yeah.
They're one ethnicity. They're isolated and everything else, right? In fact, a lot of people who are anti-immigration, pro-white, want to go back to their own people in America. Look at Japan. Look at Japan. They're doing so great. They don't have these issues that we do.
Because
Right.
they're homogenous.
They're homogenous,
Yeah.
right? White people should just stick with white people, blah, 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 right? All that stuff. So they pointed to Japan, but Japan is now facing a problem, right? They're like, you know what? We need immigration. We, as a society, we will collapse.
Actually, that's the reason America is not going beneath the birth rate. It's because of immigration.
Yeah.
America's birth rate is like 1 point. It's still higher than most other Western countries, but their birth rate is like 1.7 something. But with immigration, they hit that threshold to sustain a civilization, whatever that number is, 2 point whatever per person.
So the reality is a lot of these countries do need immigration, right? And immigration is fine. It's a tool. Just use it correctly, right? Problem is in this society, because of liberalism, because of this idea of like
feminism specifically.
feminism,
I think
liberalism,
feminism
and
took it
this is like this just woke ideology that is love everybody, bring everybody in. How could you deny somebody their suffering, whatever it is, right? And they're just letting everybody into the country, and now you're getting problems because you weren't smart about it.
But there's an aspect of this too. I think it's just mismanagement. Immigration is done poorly too, actually. So I saw a tweet earlier today, actually, where it was an Asian gentleman. He's like, I'm a PhD in computer science. He says, came to this country, and I like started an AI startup, and we recently did a $20 million funding round. Like, I'm a successful entrepreneur, very well educated, right? And he applied for citizenship through basically his merit, like the merit-based green card stuff you can apply for. He did that, and then he got rejected. And his rejection notice was super generic. It said, even though you are the CTO of your company, you are not broad enough for bringing labor or some of this random generic BS. And it said, you must be, and then later on it says, because you've only ever worked at Apple Inc. He's like, one, I'm not the CTO of Apple. I've never worked at Apple. I have nothing to do with Apple. I'm not CTO of any company. I'm one of the founders of this AI startup, but it doesn't mean I'm the CTO. And it's a generic BS response as to why they rejected his application for citizenship. And he's like, what is this? And then a bunch of people beneath him replied, oh yeah, a bunch of my buddies went to the same crap, and it's just some cookie cutter copy pasta stuff, right? Just take the same application, don't even change anything. Withdraw your current application, resubmit a new one, same application. And maybe a real case officer will take a look at it, and you're gonna have to get some copy paste, and maybe you'll get in that way. But just withdraw and redo it, and which just shows like how important. And you mentioned this earlier, right? These people, these asylum seekers or whatever, who come in from Mexican border, whatever it is, and they're like, oh yeah, 2 years they come back in, and then 1 year they come back in. It's like the process is so backlogged, so slow, so crappy. Even when someone finally got to his case, no, this was much later, right? Who knows when he actually filed it? Finally got a response. It was just utter BS, copy paste, had nothing to do with him. And that's kind of sad too. It's like, why? Why is immigration so crappy here? It makes no sense.
So, for instance, like Turkey, right? Turkey, it was difficult to get citizenship there, but recently, in over years, they opened it up. But again, they opened it up to a very specific demographic. Somebody who's willing to invest in their country, right? Will give you citizenship. So again, it's tactical, right? Fine, we'll give you citizenship.
UAE is also opening up. Well, UAE already was, but Saudi is also opening up with the golden visa, and you can invest and buy real estate and get a Iqama.
UAE actually works the same way. So UAE, very interesting, because I just visited Dubai recently. In the UAE, you can go and work. In fact, if you can get a job there, basically, apply for any company. If they hire you, you can move there and work there. And there's like a money limit. If you're earning above a certain amount, but it has to be skilled labor. They're not going to let you go there and clean the toilets at the airport, right?
They have a lot of people for that.
They have enough people for that, exactly. Yeah. What they want you to do is become a skilled labor, and skilled labor means it hits a certain threshold of income. And if you hit that threshold, you can live there and bring your family, anybody. Your parents can live there with you, whatever. It doesn't matter. Once you're there, you can invite your entire family, and they can live with you. And I'm sure there's some restrictions to how much family you can bring or whatever. But your immediate family can come. They can live with you. You can have a home there. You can have everything. But they won't give you citizenship unless you bring in the big bucks. Like, you're bringing millions of dollars, multiple millions. We're talking tens of millions.
They'll give you citizenship?
They'll give you citizenship only if you're like a big bankroller. You got to come in like big money. But even some guy who's in like $1 or $2 million, not enough. That's nothing for them.
Well, the
big bankroll, they can come and get citizenship. But otherwise, everyone, basically, you come there, you make your money, and then you go back home and retire. You retire back home. You don't
Same thing in Saudi.
Retire back home.
Saudi, I have relatives there, right? And they have the same issue. They're working really hard to get money together to buy and do their daily lives, but they know that when they're older and they have to retire and the employer is no longer basically giving them protection and the iqama to stay there, they have to go back. Even though they've lived most of their lives in Saudi. They have to in the end go back, and it's so sad.
It is.
It is incredibly sad.
And I was talking to our cousins over there, and they basically said in Dubai, they're like, "Yeah, man, but at that point, I'm here to make money, and then I'll go live like a king when I go back to Pakistan or whatever."
Yeah, but right? That's the thing. This is why I feel life in the US is so much better, because you can actually lay down roots. You can have connections.
The American
you can have
dream
community.
Is real. Yeah, I believe it fully.
And what's basically happening with these people who are living in Dubai and Saudi and stuff is they're just there to make money. They have no voice. They have no real roots there. They don't have any real community. And then in the end, when they're older, they expect to get something back from the state. They get nothing. They go back. And now they're back. Now they're in a new community. Sure, they might have some family members, but most of the people that they lived around are no longer with them in their old age. Whereas in America, you can have continued impact in your old age as well, right? The president of ISGH, the Islamic Society of Greater Houston, Yasser Qadhi's father, amazing impact he's still having to this day, right? Running tons of masajid. And he started these projects when he was young in America, and now he still has amazing influence and political power too, because he has a voice.
Essentially, you go in Dubai.
You're very nerfed living, basically.
Yeah, basically,
in Dubai, you basically are only earning money. But every other impact you could have had in your life, whether it's starting an organization, starting a masjid, helping out building something.
But they don't want that, actually. They don't want any social. They don't want you doing social work. They don't want you doing political work.
You can't do dawah, dude.
You can't do dawah there. Not the same way. Actually,
no street dawah.
This podcast that we're doing, where we do political commentary, religious commentary, would not be allowed to be done from Dubai.
Yeah.
Okay? The halakha we do, so long as we keep it under wraps, is okay. And actually, so actually, there's another thing. I wanted to bring the discussion up, and somehow we got here through immigration. So I was asking the same cousins, right? They're doing well for themselves, right? They're doing really well for themselves. They have a nice home. They're living the dream. They have a worker like a Masi in their house who's working, and labor is cheap over there. So you can get drivers and cleaners and stuff. Labor is still cheap. Cheap labor is cheap, but still you earn. I would say close to American money for the jobs. Very very close, I'd say. European money for sure, and they're living the dream. They know they have to go back, but I'm like. But I said, you don't have certain freedoms. Like, dude, we have the freedoms to do what we want. Like, we want to live our life. We want to earn money. We want to have a good income, stable, safety. He says, when I think about it, my kids, they walk to school, they come back. There's no problem. It's super safe. I know. He says, my wife goes out with her friends at night. I'm not worried at all. They can come back at 1 a.m. I don't care because I know it's so safe. They can't get into trouble the way you can here in a sense, right? There's no alcohol out and about, right? There's a very specific place you have to go to get alcohol. In Dubai, right? So it still has some of that Islamic influence. And so he's like, yeah, fine. It comes at a shortcut. I can't go wave a Pakistani flag or a Palestinian flag when something happens in solidarity with Gaza.
You can't stand up for justice.
But he's like, but I can on Pakistan Day. I think we mentioned today's Qaid Azam Day. But on Pakistan Day, I could light up my whole house green. I could wave the flag. They're okay with diversity and representation. But they don't want you to start doing solidarity with Gaza, solidarity when something happens in Israel, solidarity when something happens in America. They don't want any of that. Don't politicize. Anything. Don't do anything. You can be proud to be Pakistani in Dubai. You can be proud to be Somali in Dubai. Just don't.
I wonder if
don't stand for anything.
Yeah,
stand for nothing.
So, I wonder if would you guys be willing to live like that?
I wonder if they go through your Twitter and stuff, your X account. Did they do that over there?
100%.
I'm sure they do, yeah.
From Dubai, if you're posting out of Dubai, if this podcast are out of Dubai, we're criticizing Dubai for their lack of free speech or whatever.
Okay, well, let's just say we don't criticize Dubai, but other than that, if you criticize the rest of the world.
No, even that they don't want, because they want everyone to love Dubai. They don't want you sitting in Dubai and throwing shade or whatever, right, at America and all their neighbors, right? Or they don't want you talking about MBS and whether this is good or bad. If you want to talk good about other people, fine. Good is good. Don't talk bad. At all. They'll find you. They'll kick you out.
I just find that limiting. So
yeah, so here's another thing I noticed. I thought the same thing. I'm like, look, it's another thing too, where growing up in this country, in America, it's like drilled into our brains from a young age. Freedom of speech ain't something you give up. Which to some degree I accept. I think there's maybe a tad bit much freedom here, but it's good. Okay?
Well, they're giving up freedom of speech really quickly.
Yeah, when it comes to Zionism and stuff, like it's pretty
They're
bad.
getting a freedom of speech really
but here's the
quickly.
thing. So I'm like, that is one thing. I'm absolutely. But I saw who are most of the people coming to Dubai. I asked him like, who are you seeing? Who are the people who are working with you at the bank and whatnot? Who are these people? And he's like, it's mostly Europeans. Like I saw a lot of like white people jogging around his neighborhood on the track and stuff like that. Really nice place he was living. And I'm like, he's like, most of them, yeah, they're Europeans coming from the UK or other European countries, Netherlands, this, that, whatever, right? They'll come to Dubai because it's like first world without any taxes, like all the financial benefits, right?
I mean, you still pay taxes to your home.
And
if
then,
you're from the US, we would still have to pay taxes here.
Yeah, technically, yeah. But I mean, you can round it, whatever, right? You come here and then it's tax-free. As far as your income is tax-free, right? And then the other part is a lot of people from the third world, Pakistan, the other Arab countries nearby, whatever it might be, right? They will come to Dubai because it's like a first world nation. Islamic, first world nation, open, very open, come do whatever you want. And so they're like, dude, for a lot of people, it's the best option they have. But I'm saying, as Americans, I can't foresee any American wanting to move to Dubai. Some Muslims recently are. They feel it's still Islamic and they avoid some khurafat and whatnot. But I think from a financial standpoint, I don't think any Americans going to Dubai.
A lot of Americans who have seen, they're actually choosing other places.
People do though. For financial purposes, they can go to
very
Dubai.
Rarely.
No, people do because there is a significant tax loopholes, right? It's not just you have to pay America a little bit of money. Sometimes you don't have to pay money at all. If you have an LLC in Dubai, you have these tax-free zones. There's pretty much zero tax. There's huge loopholes people get away with.
That's if you're a international businessman or something. But let's say you and I, we're employees. We work. You could be a banker, you could be an engineer, you could be a doctor, whatever it is. If I was to, one, doctors earn more in America by far compared to Dubai. I did the math. But two is, even if I went there for tax-free, whatever, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, even if, let's say it paid more, they paid 20% more. Is it worth it? The freedoms I have here? And like I said, the American dream is real, by the way. I can make roots in this country, live here for, inshallah, generations to come without any issues. You can't do that. Like I said, eventually over there, when you made your money, go back home. Wherever you call home, go home.
Look, the problem is, it comes down to how you perceive America, right? America, when looked at from an external lens, is very different from what it's like living inside America. So when you're looking at the actions of America, you're looking at basically their foreign policy, right? And it's very oppressive, right? It's hegemonic, right? They're very destructive, and so people have a lot of resentment against America. And so they'll argue, especially from the outside, that you cannot be in America, you cannot pay taxes there. Anything you're doing to help America is basically going directly against the Muslims. But the problem with that argument is that that's not always the case. America is like a tool. And if you can wield the tool, then yeah, you have a lot of power. And you can argue the Zionist lobby wields the tool. Having said that, let me just finish one point.
Sure.
America has helped Muslims a lot as well in instances we really needed them. The Bosnian genocide in Kosovo. The reason these things stopped was because America intervened and stopped that and helped the Muslims. And we were happy. Even when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan, sure,
it was America, Cold War, whatever their intentions were.
Who cares what their intentions were? But it helped the Afghans save themselves from invasion potentially, right? And right now, maybe the Uyghur Muslims are affected in China, right? And as far as we've heard, they're affected in very, very significant ways. And if America's speaking out against them, that's good. So America is a tool that you can leverage. It's on you to lobby harder.
It's not better. That's another thing I would say. America is not true. Fine. American foreign policy at the end of the day is doing, I would say, harm to the global world. Forget not just Muslims, but I would say in general harm to any foreign power, right? Overall. But it's not a single block. There's so many people. I would say majority Americans probably don't want to be in most of those wars. That's just the truth. And now you can say they are, now your tax dollars are going towards it. It's not something I feel happy about, that my tax dollars are going towards killing innocent people. It's not something I'm happy about, but it's not one block. And I want to say, don't blame the average American for what America's doing. And so if you and I live in America and we're paying taxes, and unfortunately a percentage of every dollar is going towards killing innocents, it doesn't mean I condone that. It doesn't mean majority of Americans condone that. It doesn't, and I think it's one reason why it's incumbent on us. It's actually one reason why many people in the Muslim world, especially Muslim Americans, they say it's another reason to vote. To be active in this democracy is so that, fine, at least you're raising your voice. Right? If I can't actually physically act, I think it's something Islamic principle, right? If you can't if you can't basically act out, if injustice is being done in front of you, and you can't physically stop it, then at least say something to stop it. And if you can't say something to stop it, then at least feel bad inside, right? That's the minimum you can do. And so for us, not only can we feel bad when harm is caused by our country, but we can also say something about it. Free speech is real in this country, and we can go and vote our conscience.
And actually physically stop things too. Because when the genocide was really starting in Gaza, Muslims, along with non-Muslims, went and actually stopped shipments from the bay that were going to Israel, sending weapons. They physically stopped them at the ports. So you can physically do things and get away with it too. Not only use your speech. There's a lot we can do in America. And you're right. Yeah. If we're paying tax dollars, we, of course, will have the intention that these tax dollars are only to help our communities and what affects the Muslims and the general people. This is not tax that we're paying to send to a foreign nation to bomb another nation. And we will double down with that by using our voice and our votes and our actions to speak out against it and to influence America to change its decisions.
And again, people say that this is a dream. Your vote doesn't really matter. You're such a small proportion of people. I don't even think the average American vote matters at all with this whole bipartisan dichotomy thing. I mean, that's a separate topic, but there is no doubt. Look, Donald Trump, in his victory speech, mentioned the Muslims. He sat down with the Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan. I think it was Dearborn, right? He sat down with the Muslims. He heard them. He mentioned it. He knows people like Habib. There are influencers in Donald Trump's life who are Muslim. Whether it's Habib, who somehow influences him, or is it people in Dearborn, Michigan, whose vote he wants, no doubt it had an effect.
Yeah.
No doubt. As small as it might be.
Did we talk about soft power before? Have you ever talked about soft power on the podcast? No?
What's soft power? What do you mean?
Soft power.
I think you mentioned it once.
Wait. So Habib is a type of soft power, right? From the Muslim side of things, right? Essentially, Habib is so beloved in the MMA world, right? That even affect the president of the United States. Right, it affected him in a direct way. There was nothing political attachment. He loves a fighter who happens to be Muslim. That has affected his view on Muslims a little bit, right?
100%.
So what I was saying was, it's interesting. Recently, I think Muslim soft power is very lacking, right? And I think I did briefly mention it.
What is soft power? Define that term. What is that?
So South Korea, right? For instance, it's like something that is. You're essentially pushing your culture. Like in Civ, you can push your culture onto other people. Okay. That's soft power, right? So,
great example.
Great example. Yeah.
Everyone can relate.
Everyone can relate, of course.
Civ 7 is coming out in January or something. That'll be great. We should play it.
We should absolutely play that.
Yeah, but Civ 7.
We don't talk about gaming much. We should do that. But anyway.
But South Korea, for instance, right? Squid Game, all this other stuff, all their content that they're pushing, their makeup and their general.
Dude, K-dramas and stuff are big. A
That's
lot
Korean.
of people watch it.
You could argue that Gangnam Style came in at the time K-pop. There's a lot of influence coming from South Korea to the rest of the world. Now, what does that do? It basically makes the rest of the world look at South Korea as humans, right? Now, if anybody watches K-dramas, you kind of realize that their cultural practices, their cultural things, and you view it as a norm.
Yeah.
You don't look at abnormal. Watching a few of them,
it takes away ignorance and gives you respect. Both.
Yeah, you realize that they have something called death days, right? Where somebody dies, they don't celebrate their birthdays or anything, but they do acknowledge when somebody dies, and they celebrate that year over year over year. Like when somebody dies, they mourn.
A death anniversary of sorts.
Yeah, death anniversary. They have that culture, right? So you're seeing all this stuff, and what it does is you consume their content, and it normalizes. It normalizes their weird CEO fetish, where all their dramas It's not like a princess trying to get into a higher status. No, it's like some lowly person marrying a CEO. That's their dream, which makes sense. And
it's a modern day Cinderella story.
Yeah, but it makes sense in the South Korea thing because they have this
capitalism.
They have the chobal, whatever it's called. I think Ahmad would know. But essentially, the major CEOs like Samsung and stuff. So they have this weird dream of marrying a CEO, right, of some company.
The unfortunate
but
situation.
That's soft power. But Turkey, with Ertugrul,
they're pushing a lot.
With Ertugrul coming on Netflix and stuff. That's soft power, right? Muslims need soft power. Our animation sucks. Our stuff. I talk about it with the Sora, right?
Media doesn't come out of Muslim countries.
If Muslim
maybe
media,
Egypt to some degree.
If Muslim media was pushed out into the world, Habib and all this stuff, just our stuff, that is the fastest way to humanize
Muslims.
Yeah.
It will automatically counteract the whole average Muslims as terrorists. In fact, I was just watching the Dean show recently. And he has this clip he plays every now and again about how unaware he plays this clip for people to donate to his Dean Center in I think it's Tampa, in Florida. And he shows that look, the average Muslim knows nothing, and he just literally goes on the street with a mic, like as the talk show hosts and stuff do. He goes on the street with a mic and says, "What do you know about Islam? What do you know about Islam? What do you know about Islam?" And one guy's like, many of them are like, I don't know, I don't know. They believe in Allah. And another person was like, literally like, well, on TV they tell me y'all a bunch of terrorists, something like that. Literally, just like you know, and literally that's what a lot. They don't know anything. They literally don't know anything. And so, I agree with you. If you can reach them through like,
but
media,
Joe Rogan in these
Hollywood
ways, because of Habib and because of all these Muslim fighters, right? Joe Rogan is always pushing extreme discipline. Andrew Tate is pushing that Muslims have this one quality, extreme discipline. Well, that's why their fighters are amazing, right? Islam gave them discipline, right? So one thing amongst a certain demographic of like hardcore red pillars.
Unfortunately, Islam doesn't give everyone discipline.
I know, but they had this view that Islam gives some sort of discipline.
It's a part of their success.
It's part of their success,
yes,
right?
It's 100%. I think they view this for sure. All the Dagestani fighters and whatnot, they view that their Islam, their religion, is no doubt a significant part of their success.
But I'm saying the same software. So now there's a bunch of non-Muslims who are watching the UFC or watching Joe Rogan and have this red pill Andrew Tate thing. They have this thing in, Muslims, they're associated with all this bad stuff, that's how we know about them, plus discipline, right? And this discipline, this idea of Muslims having discipline, it came through because of soft power, right? I think we really need more push into this direction of making content, making excellent stories, right? Pushing our narratives, all this stuff should be out there, right? Documentaries and this stuff, it's great. And we completely lack this in the Muslim world.
The thing is, by the way, it was Qaid-e-Azam Day today. And so I was thinking a lot about Pakistan. And I've recently been reading some books about Hyderabad and Pakistan. And the unfortunate situation is that Pakistan didn't end up being what it was supposed to be. 100%. It was supposed to be the bastion of the Muslim Ummah, the example, the shining example, something that would project the soft power you're talking about, right? Culturally
this is
and
a
religiously.
Deep topic into why it failed, but continue.
I'm not talking about why it failed. I'm talking about the fact that it failed.
It's sad though.
It's sad. That's what it was supposed to be, right? Actually, it was supposed to have the brightest minds of the Muslim subcontinent.
It still produces some of the brightest minds.
No, the problem is a lot of the Muslim the intelligentsia of the Muslim were in India. And then a lot of that stuff got dispersed when they migrated, right? They were very well established within India. They had estates, they had princely estates, in fact. All of that got dismantled. And then when they moved to Pakistan, they didn't get a lot of their estate. They got a lot of financial issues. They got maligned. There was racism, all kinds of issues, right? Because there were now migrants or immigrants. And the other issue is, of course, Jinnah died really early. He died about 1948, like a year or two after Pakistan was formed. Whereas Jawaharlal Nehru, he was alive for another 20 years or so. And he stayed and he established institutions, and as a founder, right?
He was a visionary, right? The main visionary.
Yeah, Jinnah was a visionary too, but the problem is the founder, of course, always has a lot more power than any other politician that will ever have, just like the founding fathers of this nation, right? A lot more power than anyone can ever have in America. The founding father died. And he was so profound. We can go into more details of the strategies and stuff that he employed, but the sad part is he was extremely, extremely intelligent. Him, Allama Iqbal, these guys were highly educated. Their English was way beyond us, right? And they were super, super literate. Unfortunately, they died early. And the worst case scenario was that Pakistan would end up becoming a failed state. Because the big risk that they were taking with doing partition was that, okay, we'll split it up and we'll have Muslims go to Pakistan and Muslims will end up faring better being in Pakistan as opposed to staying within India. The worst case scenario happened, which is now that they split, Muslims in India are no longer as strong as they were before the partition, right? Because all the smart guys left, and the wealthy people left. So now they're weaker. And Pakistan, which is supposed to do well, also did really poorly. So Muslims are now poor in both scenarios and doing really bad in both scenarios.
You know what's interesting? It was really sad actually about
India
what you
and
said
Pakistan.
is when he mentioned that Pakistan was supposed to be great, is our parents' generation is actually the first Pakistan-born generation. The first generation to be born in Qaeda Pakistan. Okay?
Right.
And when you hear Mama or Baba specifically, when they tell me their dream for Pakistan, their vision for Pakistan, when they were young, what they saw, the improvements the hope they had. Basically, when I grew up in America, we talk about the American dream and how great this country and this and that, and we're going to be even better, and we're going to do great, and make America great, whatever it is, right? There's always this pushing for greatness. Mama Baba talk about that. They have this Pakistan was great. It was heading towards greatness. They could see it. Mm-hmm. They could see it. They were so nationalistic. They had that zest, right? That zeal for Pakistan. And then it just crumbled around them. And now they're so pessimistic.
There's not a single prime minister that went full term.
Okay, there's many reasons. I don't want to talk about it, but I'm saying Pakistan was a promise and people were very optimistic. This first generation, that's all they knew. They're like, Pakistan's going to be great. Pakistan's going to be great. And then just...
This optimism thing is important. So I recently listened to a book by Peter Thiel. He's one of the most amazing investors in America.
He did PayPal with Elon Musk.
Right. So he wrote a book called 0 to 1. And in it, he talks about this very interesting concept of optimism, pessimism, and then there's indefinite optimists and definite optimists and indefinite pessimists and definite pessimists. So let's just take the optimism side, right? So indefinite optimist is a person who believes that he's optimistic things will be better in the future, but he's not sure how. He just knows it'll be better, okay? A definite optimist plans for that better future. Like, hey, I'm going to have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan. We're going to make things better.
So okay? I'm optimistic, and you know what?
And I'm going to plan
This is what I'm going to do to make it happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And if you think about
this podcast is definitely an indefinite optimism.
Hopefully it'll do
We
well.
have no plan for this.
But we hope it'll do better. Right. But if you look at the Qaeda generation, right? They were definite optimists. Like, they have a plan. We're going to do this. We're going to establish this, and then we'll get to that point. Same thing with Jawaharlal Nehru, right? He always had 5-year plans. Everything, 5-year plan, 5-year plan, 5-year plan. And you can say that they had this definite optimism, which kind of started to die until our parents' generation, who were very happy, they were optimistic, things are going to get better, right? But there was no plan, because you couldn't plan. Things were constantly breaking down, martial law happened, blah, 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 things kept happening where you were hopeful things would get better. And now we've reached this point where we're indefinite pessimists, or almost definite pessimists. Like, things are not getting better, and for sure they're not getting better.
This is my problem. Sitting as an outsider of Pakistan, I wasn't born in Pakistan, I was born here. As an outsider who has lived in Pakistan, visited a lot, and I even lived there for a good 1.5 years straight, right? I want the best for Pakistan. I am I don't know, deep inside, I hope the best for Pakistan, and I'm just an optimistic person by nature, and so I'm optimistic that somehow Pakistan will come out of this deep, dark pit they're in, okay? But what's really sad is that when I speak to any Pakistani, they're super pessimistic. Anyone who's actually living there, I haven't met a single I'm talking about young Pakistanis. I recently hired a guy from marketing from Pakistan, a Fiverr, right? And this guy, I just asked him, I'm like, hey, what do you think? Yeah, this Imran Khan stuff, this, that, the other, politics, all the crap, hangama that's happening, the kind of this brutalizing people, murder 100 people, whatever. And he's just like, there's no hope, man. Basically, he's like, dude, the first chance I get to get out of this country and get a decent job anywhere else, I'll take it. They're just waiting to leave.
That's the thing. For any nation to improve, you need to have definite optimism. Same thing with America too, right? When you had the Apollo program, right? You were sending missions to the moon. You had planned out exactly how many missions we're going to do, how we're going to get there, all that stuff. Amazing era of American progress. And then you started getting these indefinite optimists. We're like, yeah, things will get better, but we're not really going to do much about it. We're not really going to take control of it. And then basically NASA started failing. They had to, abandon the space shuttle and everything. And now we're getting again into a period where people are really planning ahead. And so you need those people.
Honestly, solo.
I want to know how the Bengalis feel now that they overthrew what's the Haseen? What is his name?
Haseen. Yeah, I'm pretty very happy.
No, I know, but I want to know now as a country, are they more optimistic of their future. It'll be interesting to see.
I think same thing with Syria, right? And everybody's pessimistic. Now everybody's very optimistic. Like, hey, things will happen. And now I'm sure people are planning, like, I want to invest, I want to build this, I want to do that. And that's hopefully the case.
They're being cautionary. All the refugees shouldn't come back in mass. It'll be problematic. There's already instability. Anyway, that's a different topic, but the stuff's happening there. But I think, we've been talking about an hour and 25 minutes now or so. Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun. Some deep topics. There's a lot of stuff happening in Syria again too, but not too much has changed from the last time we talked about it, which is one reason I didn't bring it up this time. But some of our fears may be realizing, but Allah knows best. I make dua for them still. Dua for the Palestinians. Make dua for the Syrians. Make dua for the Muslims, the Uyghur Muslims we talked about today, Bosnians, anyone. And make dua for Pakistan. Absolutely. To this guy, the Azam Day. Yeah. So anyway, well with that, Jazakumullah khair. All of you for listening. Thank you. Please like, subscribe, share with family, friends. Hopefully we'll get back on making some shorts and other content too to make this grow. Our goal is to be regular because we just started this, and then hopefully we grow, we get better, production quality is better. I'm thinking about getting better mics and stuff too.
We need to make some
better camera,
other content besides this podcast, like short content.
Newsletter.
We'll see. Yeah, one step at a time. But our goal is to be consistent here, and hopefully you guys are enjoying some of what we talk about. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.